In the American West, a region characterized by an arid climate, reliable sources of cold, clean water trump all. Located approximately 50 miles to the east of Mount Shasta, the Fall River Valley should be bone dry, but it's not. Instead, dozens of interconnected cold water springs gurgle to the surface, creating an oasis that serves both people and nature.
This is a very special river in the state of California in terms of water supply. I believe the discharge is around 1 million gallons per minute, which is pretty significant discharge over the course of a year. So it contributes in large part to the entire water supply coming out of the Sacramento Basin.
The Fall River meanders through a big, flat, wide-open valley of wild rice and cattle ranches, and eventually dumps into the Pitt River. From there, it flows through one of California's larger hydroelectric projects, and finally on into Shasta Lake. The water is then used as part of the Central Valley Project, which helps irrigate tens of thousands of acres in the Sacramento Valley.
This is a beautiful cold water spring, and it's excellent habitat for our rainbow trout here. It's a blue ribbon trout fishery. In addition to being an excellent cold water habitat for fish, we also have many nutrients that make this an extremely productive system. And if you compare the biomass that's coming out of this system to, say, surface waters elsewhere, we're seeing probably 4 times, 5 times, maybe even 6 times more invertebrates in this system than we would in other systems. So it's an extremely productive system, and that makes it an excellent trout fishery.
The Fall River is one of the most unique fisheries, I think, on Earth. A giant spring creek that you actually fish from a classic old flat-bottom john boat. I spend about 3 months a year here, and I try to just totally sight fish and head hunt rising fish with dry flies. We have the hex hatch here. Happens from mid-June to the end of July. Biggest mayfly on Earth. And I just love how Fall River as a system is just connected to these amazing spring-fed lakes too, and you could have very different angling experiences throughout the course of a day.
It's not just about a fishery. We, like our drinking water for our house, we drink the water out of the Fall River, and we ski on the Fall River and we boat on the Fall River. With the state park now at Aji, there's quite a few people that will come up and kayak out to the river and camp out in the state park.
As soon as you come over the hill in Big Valley, you look out over the valley here, and you see we're just blessed with an abundance of water here. The river it's really kind of our lifeblood, our livelihood with the crops and the rice. Or without the river, it'd be a totally different situation for us.
Despite still being a phenomenal wild trout fishery and a reliable source of cold, clean water for Northern California, the Fall River faces serious challenges. Over-sedimentation, invasive aquatic plants, and even water quality issues.
On this particular river, the primary disturbance we've seen is sedimentation in the upper river and the subsequent invasion by Eurasian water milfoil. We have a river course that's fairly wide open. We don't have a whole lot of riparian coverage, and so the milfoil is getting a lot of direct sunlight. And it also does very, very well under those conditions.
I'll never forget the first day I came up this river. I was just mind blown by the beauty of the native seagrass that was in the river. Just this beautiful green grass in this flat water spring creek that just grooved with the river. Now if I bring somebody up here in July, they're not going to see that seagrass, they're going to see Eurasian milfoil, which is the non-native invasive species that's here now.
I've been guiding on the river for 25 years, and I'm affiliated with the Fall River Conservancy, a group that we formed a few years back to help work on environmental issues on the river. When I'm guiding or fishing, it's always usually somebody from out of town, and they're always at it all. They see the river and they're like, wow. They don't see the changes like the folks who've been on the river have seen it.
The Fall River Conservancy is doing a pretty good job of just reaching out their hand and trying to get the whole community together to be like, hey, this is a special resource that's been here for generations, and we're trying to identify the problems and help fix them.
Our goal at the Conservancy is threefold: protect water quality, restore habitat conditions, and protect one of California's best wild trout fisheries. And there's no doubt that we can do it, especially the way the community's been stepping up. I'm confident that the anglers and the farmers and PG&E and other stakeholders can come together to get the job done. It's just way too valuable to too many people to let it slip away. We believe that the Fall River Valley should be an example in California for managing healthy working landscapes. We envision restored meadows and marshlands that attract waterfowl by the thousands and functioning cold water spring systems that support robust populations of large, healthy wild trout. We foresee the Fall River becoming a critical refuge for cold water biodiversity, and we envision Fall River ranchers continuing to produce healthy crops and livestock while also protecting water quality and sensitive habitat. The Fall River Conservancy envisions a local community that works together to preserve the historic ranches, the large land tracts, and the cultural heritage that will only survive by being passed from one generation to the next.
This river, this valley is home. My great-grandkids are the 7th generation here. I've been all over the country and I don't know of a better place to live.
I was in the Bay Area the other day, and when there's thousands and thousands of cars, you see the cars and you don't know anybody. But when you live in Fall River Valley, when you pass a car, you expect to know them, and you wave to every car.
When I drive home in the evening, the river and the road parallel each other for probably a quarter of a mile, and the sun goes down behind Mount Shasta, and there's meadow there, and Spring Creek and the river, and it still blows me away that this is my driveway, and that will be my enduring memory of Fall River if I ever leave it.
Here you go.
Okay, here we go. What's the name of the club?
The Church of the Holy Hexagenia.
Church of the Holy Hexagenia. Largest mayfly.
Yeah.
Here he goes. You guys can see him.
Watch him. Don't make him suffer. How bad is it?